No. Hmm. No. Oh. Okay. Okay. There you go. Kind of an intimidating question to think about. Like, I've never had a game ask me that before.
Of a man named Stanley.
Okay.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
He's a good boy.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He
Push that
sat at
button.
his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons or pushed them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Cool.
And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
He was.
And Stanley was happy.
Aw. Well, good for Stanley.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
What's that?
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour, realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed his senses. He got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Or did he? What if he started grinding up weed? What if he played with his computer? Yeah! Yeah, get in there, Stanley! Yeah! Well, I think Stanley's tried everything he can. Just quickly go ahead and deal with it right there. Done. Okay, Stanley. What? That's a really cool trick, Stanley.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
427 must be like special. He gets an office. Everyone else gets it. Most people get a shitty cubicle. Huh.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Well, I mean, you don't know. There might be secrets. Oh. Why does that sound like a keyboard? Let's go over here.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
This is nice.
Truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I'm surprised there wasn't any soda in the soda machine.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ah, Stanley's fine. Just, you know, going for a little adventure. It's over here.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm
Where
not
are
your
we?
enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but
Where
the
are
fact
we
is
going?
that the story has been about nothing but you
Oh, there we go.
all this time.
Hell
There's
yes.
someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Oh, are you?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
What's
To put
that?
your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Whoa. It's really dark in here. Oh.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another.
All right, let's take a look.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
What?
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about
Your damn.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
I
Who
mean-
wanted to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come
Okay.
inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
I'm gonna go over here.
Sorry, but you're in
Oh.
my story now.
Oh, is that right? What about this door? No? Really? Fine. Come on in here.
This is a very sad story about the death
Is
of a
it?
man named Stanley.
What? Aha.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow.
Oh.
He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Mm-hmm. Can't. It won't break me, old man. What?
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
Okay.
Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
I feel like I made a mistake somewhere because the wall that went up had to be a way out of here. There you go.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
I don't have a desk.
Fantastic discoveries of new lands.
Well, I mean, I have,
it
like,
was wonderful. And each
a
day that he
desk.
returned to work was a
Sucks
reminder
ass.
that
I need
none
to
of it
burn
would
it
ever
or
happen
something.
to
It's
him.
evil. Contaminating my work. Fine.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Okay. With Du Bois?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Okay.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Oh. That's a good game. Tell your kids a story.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again. Maybe, perhaps if he played just one more
That's
time.
what I was thinking. There's gotta be a different path that wouldn't lead me to this fucking room. That's what I was definitely thinking. Alright, what do you want now? I'm cleaning my glasses. You'll have to wait, Mr. Parable. God, these get so dirty. I have these really nice contacts. Usually I wear the ones that last like for a month. And I forgot these ones only last for 2 weeks, and I wore them for a month, and then I got all scratched up. So I've had to wear glasses for a while.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be?
Oh,
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Go to sleep?
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Yeah? Alright. I mean, you gotta admit. That's a real clock. Is that accurate? No, it's off by an hour. I'm going to wait for a minute.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Please
and I tried
die?
again, and Stanley pushed a button. and I tried.
I'm not pushing any buttons. I don't think.
A set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Can't jump.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Yeah.
Good job, Stanley.
I know.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
I mean... it's good to have choice.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
True.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Sublime, a work of art.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Yeah.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
I am on to something. Just a little bit higher. I think I could have made that jump.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Fucking room. No.
Stanley, zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why,
no, thank
I don't
you.
know how to convince you of
I'm
this,
outta
but
here.
I really do want to help you, to
I'm
show
leaving.
you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now
What?
listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Kiss my ass.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to
Thank you.
know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what
Yep.
lies at the end of this
I
road
do. I
you've
wanna get outta
chosen?
here.
Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would make this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees?
I
Work
don't
with
know.
me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
Just
Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design.
Okay.
You can give me some feedback.
fire it up.
There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before.
Sounds
Go
like
ahead,
progress.
Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door?
I don't know.
It's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Okay. What is this? Good old Neil. Fuck that guy.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey,
No.
I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right. And if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective?
You want me
Be
to
sure
push this
keep
button for
notes on
4
your
hours?
experience.
This baby wants to go in the fire that bad, I'm gonna let it happen.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing.
That was
input
it?
was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted reward purpose.
The creep tower.
Yes, that must be it. What a
Says
fascinating venture
forestry.
into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.